is HN4. This is my part 2 of my Flirty in Kansas City content videos. This is after we went to the event, did the travel, saw everyone, sales, etc. So I'm back home now. I'm going to throw in like the clips that I took while I was gone. I'm not a huge photo taker at these. I'm very much like rushing through the moment because I get super overwhelmed. So I do have a couple videos from like our drive out there. We're gonna go through the experience and also what I thought of this event and if I think I'll be going back in 26, which I'm not committing to yes or no yet, so I can think about it for some time and see how other events go this year. Okay, so first off, when we drove to Kansas City this year, last year I think it was just cold, but this year we drove through a bunch of fog. We called it Scooby-Doo fog. And basically we couldn't see anything for a long time, so that was awesome. The only good thing about that was, I lied actually, the fog started in Colorado when it was still hilly and continued into Kansas. And then there were like weird breaks of sunshine and we'd go back into the fog, so it was a lot of fog. We called it Scooby-Doo fog because it was very, very hard to see and things would just appear out of nowhere. It was kind of stressful. But we did get here. Everything was fine. We took our normal we're on our way picture. Those are the one pictures I am good at taking because it's at the beginning of the event and it like sets the mood for the fact that we're going out of town. So I try to take a going and coming back picture each time. I also took a little bit of video of our drive out of Colorado on Highway 24. It takes you through like little tiny towns like Simla, Colorado, which I always think has this historic church. It does not. The church is in Matheson, and it's literally the only thing I remember other than the cows as you get out of Colorado. And then you drive into Canorado, and I have so many feelings about that name. So I had higher hopes for Kansas City than what my return on this event was. So I usually, if I'm considering an event to be good, I guess, if I'm thinking the profit's gonna be high, I think that I will usually get somewhere between 10 and 20 pre-orders. And usually if I see this as being a more special editions type event, I get more of those in my pre-orders. I only had one special edition that was pre-ordered for this event. So I assumed that I wasn't gonna sell a huge amount of them, but I did have a ton of blems, so I brought those with. When I look back at what I brought excessively too much. Okay, on the too much note, I did not have good sales, but I did hear from other people that they had amazing sales. The thing about Flirty in Kansas City is it's an event that takes place in multiple ballrooms. So I took a video, I'll try to like add it in here, but basically the hotel is shaped like a square and the inside's hollow, so you can see from the bottom floor up to the ceiling, kind of like when you stand in the pyramid in Vegas, where you can see all the way up and all the different rooms and everything. It's at an Embassy Suites. So the ballrooms don't touch. You have to walk out of each one around the floor to go to each ballroom, and there were 4 this year. Last year there were 2, so there was double the amount of rooms. And one room, the vendor's room, opened an hour before the other rooms. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that was for, other than to give authors, I guess, time to shop. But I think listening to the readers that were walking through, it was overwhelming to walk into each room, walk around the rectangle of tables, see everyone, go to a different room, do it again, times 4, and then remember where to go and come back and start walking through again. So as far as people walking the event, I gave out like cards and bookmarks. I did not give out or sell that many books. And I don't know if it's because I talked to a lot of people in Ballroom 3 because that's where I ended up sitting. I don't know if it's because a lot of people started in Ballroom 1 and just went around the square that way, or the way it was set up was the square. Here's Ballroom 4, like opposite where these elevators are, so people would walk over there and then they could choose 3 or 1. I think most of them went to 1 first and went all the way around. I don't know if that's true, but I was right by the door with my friend Suze. It was so good to see Suze. I haven't gotten to sit next to her at an event, so we actually got to kind of talk and hang out. which is amazing because I probably won't see her again until 26 sometime. She's doing events this year and I'm so excited for her, but we're not doing any events that are even relatively close to each other. So probably not seeing her or 90% of my other friends for the rest of the year, which is sad. Okay, so my thoughts on the event itself. When I did this in 24, we showed up. We usually just drive for 8 hours. So when we get there, it's usually like nighttime. Sometimes people get food, or if we recently got food, getting all these notifications. Usually if we've eaten, then we'll just go right to the event if it's open. Well, we got into Kansas City. We weren't even in Kansas City at 5 o'clock. And like 8 minutes before 5 o'clock, they posted this year that you could set up in the ballrooms from 5 to 7. Well, we weren't going to get in for like another hour. And then we needed to go check in to our actual hotel first and change. Because I wear what I call car clothes on these like multiple hour drives. I don't wear my like nice or even like put together outfits for events. I wear what's comfortable, just sit in a car, and that's not always like what I want to wear if people are going to see me and I'm going to meet people, and sometimes you take pictures because you get time with your author friends. So I didn't want to do that. So by the time we actually got in, it was supposed to be done with setup. You were supposed to be done by 7, and I'm pretty sure there were people that were still there like later, like 8:30 or so, but they never announced that. So we didn't set up until the following morning. The thing about this hotel that I cannot stand, and the hotel itself might be the reason I don't go back in 26 because I'm so easily frustrated, but you have to have the event on the second floor. The first floor is like check-in, pool, like regular hotel stuff. The second floor is where all the ballrooms are. So you have to take an elevator from floor 1 to floor 2 unless you want to walk up this stone staircase, which most people cannot do with all their books, their signs, like the gist. They only have 3 elevators in the whole hotel, and when you're running in more than 80 authors and vendors, they need those elevators. In 24, only 2 of the 3 elevators were working, which was horrible. And it wasn't a whole lot better in 23. We got there pretty early because I am a stressed out person. So the next morning, we got there early so that I could set up. And it still took me a long time to set up because I did a new setup and I was like feeling my way through it. But leaving the hotel was a nightmare because people finish in the rooms, they leave the hotel, and then the authors start breaking down and the vendors, and we all break down, and as we break down we go stand in line on floor 2 to get on these elevators. There were so many people in line that needed to go down from floor 2 to the ground to get out of this hotel, and there's only 3 elevators and they're not very big. And no, we couldn't use the freight elevators or anything. I don't know why, I don't ask. But at one point there were so many people waiting in line, we almost wrapped around the entire like square of the second floor. There were so many people waiting in line and so many elevators just going past floor 2 to go up because everybody wanted to go down. It was a nightmare, and that stresses me out so much. It's almost a reason for me not to go back, is just the getting in and getting out and the like non-communication for setup. Also, I've heard from certain people that they don't like the approach from the hosts. I think that's a personal opinion. I don't really care. I think events are hard to set up, and as long as you're direct with me about information, I don't care if you're short or super like chatty and nice. It doesn't matter to me. So the event runs for 4 hours. There's like a VIP hour, which was also when the 4th ballroom was open. So they had from 11 to 4. The rest of us had from 12 to 4. And then they have like early access for people that have like certain needs, like anyone that needed a wheelchair or difficulty walking, anything like that. They can also come in at 11. I don't know what the check-in for that is. I didn't really see anyone during that hour. It was pretty much empty in our ballroom. I will put up a video too of like walking through. I only did 1 ballroom because I thought I was closer to needing to sit down than I was. But from 12 to 4, so 4 hours of time, okay? I only sold like, I think it was 12 books, 12 or 13 books. And then I only had, I think, 9 pre orders. And everything I sold at the event was either a fantasy book, so the paperback, or the hardback special edition, which those hardbacks definitely are the only reason I had, like, not even good sales, just okay sales, because they're 50 each. So selling those helped. Um, so I sold the fantasy, a couple of blems, and then one of the special editions. Sorry, it's over there, but one of these. So essentially, I did not make like a huge profit. I was putting all my like profit loss into a like my spreadsheet, my form, whatever you want to call it. And my loss is like 185, which to be fair is not a huge loss when you consider what some other people might be spending versus making. Um, I more or less made the same thing that I spent. It's like if I paid for any advertising. I did not sponsor anything this year. I was not in any anthology. I didn't do anything extra. I just went to the event, and then we went back to our hotel room, got some food, and we left early the next morning so we could get home and see our daughter. Because I lost money, that's what makes me hesitant to go back, because this is my second year and I still didn't turn a huge profit at this event. Whereas last year, the first year of some events and a lot of places that I went, I made like 3 or 4 times what I was spending to even get there. Never mind the pre-orders or whatever else. I was making large profits, which made them more reasonable and more available for me to go to because I could justify the time off and the costs. This, because of everything I just said, I don't know if I'll go back in 26, and specifically because of the hotel and the setup time, because I can't stand that hotel. And I'm pretty sure that I heard them talking and they can't get out of that contract for 26, so I think it's at this hotel for at least another year. So if I had to compare like my highs versus lows, highs were definitely more of a social thing, like seeing friends, sitting with Suze, going out to dinner with my friends, seeing some like familiar faces that had seen me in previous years. There are some ARC readers that I see at that event that I've seen for a couple years, which is always nice. So it's very much a social aspect. I wouldn't say that I really know the event coordinators or anything, even though I've done a couple events with them. They do a ton. Like, unless I'm very involved, I doubt they remember anything about me. But my lows were, of course, like on a monetary side, this was not profitable for me. I didn't really sell any of the Missouri volume editions that I make for the events, whereas other events I've sold several. I think that ebook's gonna do just fine, but as far as the special edition, it didn't really do anything for the event, which is the purpose of writing it. I also don't think I did a fabulous job marketing it this time. Because it's my second year and I'm not making a huge profit off this event, that also makes me think maybe this just isn't an event that does well for me. Other friends that I talked to had fantastic sales, even if it was their first year at this event, so could just be me. Could just be my marketing. I didn't bring or have like a friend slash assistant this time who talks me up, and I will say I do normally have better sales when I bring someone like that because they'll talk you up, whereas most of us are super awkward when we try to talk about ourselves. As far as the event goes and things I like about the event, I like that I paid the deposit for 26. You have to pay for this company Anytime Author Promotions. Once they send out like a you've been accepted, they send an invoice close to that time, and then they give you 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a little longer, to pay the deposit to hold your spot. So I have already paid for my deposit for 26, and that spot's not going anywhere. And I don't have to pay, I don't think I have to be done paying until like November or December. So there's a lot of time between, right now, it's February 11th, I think. I have a ton of time to decide on this, so I'm probably going to stay signed up for this for now because I already paid for it. I already kind of know what I'm in for if I decide to go back, and I might base it off of like interest throughout the year too. If I have like an uptick of people who want to see me, then of course I'm gonna go back. But if it stays the same or drops, or if I just can't swing it to take a little bit of a hit, then I will have to withdraw. But I have time and flexibility, which is probably my favorite thing about AAP. Okay, I don't usually do like money discussions, but I'm gonna do it for this because I know some of my friends were saying that they wanted to know if I found it worthwhile. So here are my numbers. Okay, so I want to say again, this is a small event for me. Before I get into these numbers, in 24, the last event that I like traveled out of state to, I made about 1,600 in pre-orders, which paid for my hotel, the table, some of my travel fees. It pretty much paid for like 90% of my event, and then the books. And I had some leftover books from an event the month before, so I didn't spend a lot of money on books for the October event, and then I made almost $2,000 at the event. So that was a very profitable event for me, and I know I can have those sales. So to put that into Flirty in Kansas City, the table and then the hotel I stayed at, I don't stay at the hotel because I need space, was about 500 for those two things. So before I can even turn any sort of profit, I gotta make at least $500. Between gas and food, and then we bought like some sweatshirts because we were cold. Those two things were also about 500, so it was about $1,000 to go to this event, which is very low. That doesn't count like the oil change or anything we did. I just roll those into things we write off at the end of the year. For pre-orders, I made about $425, which is significantly less than any other event I did in 24, or I guess at all in 24. So for 25, this was a very low starting point for pre-orders. And then at the event, I made about $414 between cards and cash. So I lost about $185, like I was saying. I don't know if that makes it worth it for me. Like I said, I might wait and see like how the year goes, if there's more interest, if this changes. I don't know how many people from 25 will come back for 26, because a lot of people joined after Readers Take Denver got canceled. So it's gonna be a very fluid thing. I'm gonna wait and see what happens. If I'm only losing like $200 for this event, then that's not crazy, and I can go see certain people again. So it's a time will tell thing for me. So my opinion on this event, if you're looking for a high profit event, it's 50-50. You might make amazing money. Personally, I saw that non-special editions sold pretty well, or fantasy special editions sold super well, but like dark romance and stuff like that seemed to be more the like paperbacks that were selling. And it's a toss-up if you're gonna make like a big profit or not much profit, and there's no way to tell because of the like 10 friends that I was semi-close to who I asked. It was like 50-50. So it's really hard to say if this will be successful or non-successful for you. If you're trying to get your foot in a door, specifically if you're one of my Colorado friends and you don't want to go like an incredibly long distance for your first out-of-state event, I think this is a good one to start with. I think the elevator will make you see red. I think that the hotel itself needs to do something about that because it infuriates people, and like I said, that might be the reason I don't go back. I have applied for other events at the beginning of 26, but I have a lot of travel far away from where I live in Colorado. I'm going to Washington in 26, and I'm going to possibly Florida, as well as either Chicago, Salem, or New York, because they're all the same weekend, and I've been accepted to 2 of the 3. So I'm going to one of them. If I go to Florida, probably Chicago, because that's not as far. So we will see what happens in 26. This wasn't a total loss, but it wasn't a slam dunk either, and it does partially make me like worried because I didn't turn a profit before I go to Dirty Daddies in March. I have a local event between now and Dirty Daddies, so I'm hoping to maybe go through some of the stock that I accumulated and did not sell. So we'll see how that goes. But currently, it's a maybe for 26. I'm gonna toss my pre-order up for next year on I use Beventi now. I'm gonna toss it up now and see what happens. Basically, if I don't end up going to an event, I'm gonna mail out the copies to the people that pre-ordered. That hasn't happened yet, but that's what I intend to do so that they don't have to worry. If they don't want them mailed out, I'll just refund them. But that's my thoughts on Flirty. Here's a picture of us driving home, and we will see. I'll probably talk later in the year as we get closer to 26 about whether or not I decide to keep my spot and go for another year. Thank you so much for watching. We kind of flew through this, but this was the Missouri volume. It's my special edition that I brought for this event. There's people on the chapter headers. So it's Gage, Reese, and Carmen. This is actually like one of my favorite ones. So I will be bringing my stock to events till I sell out of them, and then I won't order more until somebody like pre-orders it. Basically, I'll just be bringing like that state's book. And if you are not going to an event but you would like to grab a copy of these, I would go find me on Kickstarter because something is coming at the end of the year. So thank you so much for watching and following along. Have fun this week, and I will see you again soon.